All right, guys. Well, greetings and salutations, and welcome to the John Campea YouTube channel for our special live coverage, our stream here of CinemaCon 2025. And in this stream in particular, we're going to be talking about not just the Lionsgate presentation, but Neon did a little presentation as well. So I am joined by Dr. Ann Campea.
Hey, everyone.
And Cody Miller's here.
What's up, everybody?
And yeah, so this morning's session was long.
Yeah.
And not long with all Lionsgate start. They did a lot of industry business. They decided it was important to spend 20 minutes talking about the title change of the NATO organization.
That was painful.
Yeah, it was. I mean, listen, so NATO, the North American Theater Association, they've changed their name, thankfully, because NATO also is something else. Talk for a second, because the camera isn't picking you up yet.
Oh, it's for...
There you are.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so there's the new hat. The new name of NATO is Cinema Unlimited, which is a good new name.
Yeah.
And it's a good new logo.
Yeah.
But they felt the need to spend 20 minutes on stage. Let's tell you the process of how we came to the name.
As a marketing person who does work in this space, I will say, give them their flowers, because this was probably years in the making to get to where they were. So I'll just say that.
They're very proud.
Yeah.
And it looks good.
Why not?
Yeah, it's good. It looks good. Oh, by the way, and you also probably noticed that neither Rob nor Ray are...
We Hunger Games them.
Yeah, that's right. We Beamished them. No, you could probably tell last night we thought Rob's voice was just gone, but he was actually coming down under the weather. So we decided it would be best for him just to stay in bed today to try to rally for the Warner Brothers presentation tonight. So hopefully Rob will be able to join us. And Ray started coming down with something too. So we told them both, just take the morning off, relax, and we'll see if we can all get back together tonight for the Warner Brothers presentation, which again will be a little bit later this evening. Hopefully we're going to be able to talk about some Superman stuff. Now, before we get into the Lionsgate, Superman. Before we get into the Lionsgate stuff, I did want to mention that the new CEO of Cinema Unlimited came out on stage, and can I just say, this guy gets it. I have never been so thankful for a leadership. The previous heads of NATO were all great too, don't get me wrong. But this guy came out and said some straight up optimistic but painful truths to everybody. It's like, look, guys, the 90-day window is gone, but we have to have a baseline window. He talked about the fact that, all you've done with these, some movies have 14-day windows, some movies have 40-day windows, some movies have 30. You're just creating confusion amongst the audience that people don't know. That the general consensus out there is people think that, you don't have to go to the movies because any day now it's just going to be on streaming. And they were advocating for a 45-day window. He said this will be better for streaming. It'll be better for moviegoers. It'll be better for the theaters. So he got it. But he also, told the crowd, guys, don't yearn for the days of the 90-day window. We're never going to be able to get that back. So he was realistic, but also he told the movie theater owners, he's the head of the movie theater organization. He told the movie theater owners, guys, we're trying to increase the enjoyment of the experience of movie going for audiences. 4 to 6 trailers. 4 to 6 trailers.
And that got a pop too.
Yes.
Yeah, they seemed
that.
like the theaters, at least the people there who work for the theater chains are like, yeah. Because he was talking about it in the sense of make marketing movies better. And you market movies better by having fewer trailers. Because like the guy said last year, theaters play so many trailers now, people don't even remember which trailers played.
Yeah.
He said there should be 4 to 6 trailers. Just have the green band warning come up once, play all the trailers and stuff like that. Anyway, his whole presentation, I'm just highlighting a couple of moments of it, but his whole presentation was really good. Movie theater owners, 4 to 6 trailers. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, just about the whole pre-show experience itself and how he really wants us to, well, not us, because we don't own a theater, but the exhibitionists to, amp up that pre-movie show. It's not just trailers, 30-minute trailers. It's do other things. Maybe it's trivia or whatever. And I know a lot of the smaller movie chains do some of that stuff where they really kind of get you immersed in the experience before you even start the movie you came there for. And I'm excited for what he's trying to do.
You might want to get your hair off the mic because it's probably brushing over it. It was kind of neat too, because Nuvi does all the pre-show presentations for most of the major theaters. So of course Nuvi has a little bit of a presence here. So they were playing the pre-show, and it was kind of neat seeing Perry Nemiroff on screen because of course she works with Nuvi. So that was pretty cool to see. All right, so let's now get into the movie stuff. Starting things off was Neon. And their head person came out to talk about the importance of independent film and stuff like that. And they promoted a couple of films. What did they start off with?
So Neon started with a first look trailer of The Life of Chuck.
Which is one we've been talking about. This is the one with Chiwetel Ejiofor, Tom Hiddleston. Who else was in it? There were a bunch of names. Mark Hamill.
Yes.
Mark Hamill was featured twice today, by the way. So we'll talk about his other movie. But Mark Hamill... And she came out, she goes, "You're going to just smile when you see this trailer." I'm like, the trailer wasn't very good. I get the feeling the movie's going to be great.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah. You're watching the trailer and you're like, I feel like this is going to be a great movie, but the trailer isn't selling me on it. I didn't think it was all that good.
I also have no idea what it's really about.
I had no idea
but
what
it
it's
made
about.
me feel good. Like I had like a feeling of emotion because of the passion that all the characters were displaying, despite me not knowing what the plot really is.
It sounds like my first sexual experience, but yes. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, just saying, that's a perfect description of all.
But I want to see it now. So,
What did you think about it?
Yeah, I agreed. It was really hard to tell what the story was. I was trying to make up what the main thread of the story would be
Yeah, I couldn't
based
put
on
it
what you
together.
were seeing in the trailer.
did they give us a release date? Because this looks like it could be an Oscar-y kind of
I
film.
think they did give a release date. I can't remember
I
what it
will
was off the
check.
top of my head, but I am almost positive. But again, Mark Hamill does most of the narration in it. You hear his voice. I guess he plays like Tom Hiddleston's grandfather or something. But I mean, Hiddleston looks great in it.
Right here it says June 6th.
Oh, so
Okay,
that's pretty
but
soon.
it does. You're right. It does feel like it
Yeah,
has
that feel.
Oscar aspirations to it. Chiwetel Ejiofor is one of my favorite actors in the world, so I always get excited when I see him being in anything.
Yeah, and I was just gonna add the woman who spoke for Neon, she just spoke so eloquently. And at this point, even though the Life of Chuck trailer was okay, I'm really starting to believe in what they put out there. I mean, she freaking like dropped the mic when she was like, "Yeah, we have 2 movies that we just put out, and not that long ago that have won Oscars, by the way."
I don't know. She did the most humble flex.
Yes.
She's like, "Yeah, so we're this tiny little studio. We've won 2 of the last 4 Best Pictures at the Academy Awards, including setting records for Nora. We're just this little company."
And she was very humble about it.
That was authentic. Dude.
Yeah.
It was real and authentic,
That's
and
why I
she
think
was
this
demure
trailer-
and
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
think
was
maybe
really
this
nice.
trailer we haven't seen it yet, but I believe in the studio. So
yeah. So that was, what was it called again?
The Life of Chuck.
The Life of Chuck with Tom Hiddleston. Again, I think the movie looks like it's going to be great, but I don't think the trailer is anything special, but that's just me. All right, so what was the second film?
The next trailer we got was for a movie called Together, starring real life
Oh.
couple Dave Franco and Allison Brie.
Okay. Okay, so a first trailer for this had already come out a while ago.
I hadn't seen it.
You're not missing much. I mean, I really like Allison Brie. She's going to be Evil Lynn in the new He-Man movie, which I'm excited about. And everybody loves her in Community. And I really like Dave Franco.
Mhm.
But the trailer, so I was fascinated with that they were doing a movie together as a married couple, and it's going to be a little horror film. The first trailer was, it was all right. But they talked a lot about it, and they said they were like really thrilled with the results and all this kind of stuff. And then they played a new, I don't even know if this is true, because I don't know if you can put that on TV, what we saw.
There's no way.
No, you
There's
can't
no
put
way.
on
It's a
TV
look,
what we
yeah.
just saw.
But
But
it was a banger.
the trailer was great.
Yeah. Like, and they knew the way that they built it up. I kind of got this feeling. I was like, okay, like, what is this? They've got faith. That was awesome.
I'm telling you what, this is one of those things, Ray brought up the first night. Like, I'm really looking forward to those movies that I wasn't looking forward to, and something here moves the needle for me. This is one of them. I was not looking forward to Together. I didn't think that, I thought it looked like a kind of maybe a wasted vanity project or something like that. Oh, they just wanted to make one together because they're married. But now it looks great. and I cannot wait for this movie.
I mean, there were a couple moments where everyone was like, oh, like audibly, and no spoilers, but the last shot of that trailer, I mean, I was like, oh, like we all freaked, like it looks good.
Okay, so it's a trailer, so it's not a spoiler. Okay, so we're about to tell you.
That's true.
But they do this thing where the one of the last shots in the trailer is Dave Franco laying in bed, the camera's facing him, and he's kind of starting to pull the covers up over his face, and then the camera goes to his eyes point of view, and as he's pulling the covers up, you can see he's looking at this creepy looking woman sitting in a chair in the corner. Now, here's what I thought was going to happen. I thought she's off in the corner, and he's going to pull the blankets up over his head, and then he's going to lower them, and she's going to be right there in his face. That's what I thought was going to happen. But what happened?
Well, he's lifting it up, and then the camera pans down, and you see the head coming from under the covers on top of him.
It is
horrifying.
The visual effect of it,
perfect.
Like as soon as you're expecting him to lift the blanket up in the lower, but as soon as he lifts the blanket up, that face is now right under the covers in his face.
I'm getting
and
goosebumps.
the whole, I am too.
I got goosebumps.
The whole auditorium was
freaked out.
like it was like one of the freakiest things. I am now legitimately completely excited for this.
Also, like some of the, I guess you could call it body horror stuff when they're kind of merging together. I don't know how much of that you can show on TV or anything that's not just on the internet. Because it's like...
Yeah, trailers are going to have to be...
Yeah.
But like it started with the first kiss, and they have, all of a sudden they had to pull their lips apart.
Yeah.
And then the shot of the eyes.
Oh, that, no.
Oh, Chris Carr's going to have a real hard time with this. The eyes start to merge, and then there's this one shot where we don't know how it happened or what led up to it, but she's sitting on his lap in a chair, and they literally have to, what's the name of that saw? Not a rotor saw. It's called anyway.
It's a handheld chainsaw.
Yeah, she had to grab this saw because they go, okay, she pours alcohol down his mouth, saying, "Done the pain," and you know they're trying to cut themselves apart, and you're like, ah! It's like,
what a unique concept! Like so cool. Like, oh yeah. Okay.
Again, perfect title.
Title's perfect.
Title's perfect. The start of the trailer, I'm like, again, not excited about this, but it was building up to something, and then I'm like, okay, so the first one was Life of Chuck, and the second one that won it for Neon for me is Together. Again, a movie I really couldn't have cared less about before, but now I'm totally excited for it. Put it on do we have a release date for Together? I can't remember if they did or not. But whatever the date is, mark it down. Make sure you're going to go see it. I cannot wait to go see this. And Dave Franco featured in a couple of films this morning. He did that one for Neon, and then, of course, he did another one for Lionsgate. August 1st. Mark it down.
That's going to be good.
Can't wait to go see it. All right. So that was just it, right? Neon just had the two presentations.
Yes. And then a mic drop of just, we make Oscar winning movies.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. We're just the best. Bye. Okay. So then there was some industry stuff that they did. And then they took a short pee break. And then the Lionsgate presentation started. And if I remember correctly, they didn't wait. They came right out of the gate with Ballerina.
Yeah, extended look, excuse me.
Yeah, an extended look at Ballerina, which is basically like a 10-minute thing they showed us. So they bring out Len Wiseman, the director, and Ana de Armas, who Cody Miller, while leaving the theater, ended up getting, you know how like two people in a movie try to go through the door at the same time and they jam into it again? She like stepped on his foot. Ana de Armas stepped on Cody's foot and almost stumbled, so she had to grab his arm.
Yeah, because of like she was wearing kind of heels. They're like half heels, wedges, whatever the ladies call them. And she kind of slipped over, so she grabbed my arm and like was really apologetic, was very, very kind. And my shoes are brand new. We won a little money.
You just bought some Jordans last night.
Got some Jordans, and so now the only scuff I have is from Ana de Armas.
So you're never gonna fix that scuff. That is now like a permanent scuff. So Ana de Armas and Len Wiseman come out. And she talked about she just straight up trained for 4 to 5 months for this movie, not only with weapons, but the hand-to-hand stuff as well. She obviously got a lot of experience doing the Bond thing that she did. And then I can't remember really a lot that they told us about it, but then they said, okay, now we're going to show you a piece of the film. And it's an action sequence. And it's a long action sequence. And it's a holy shit action sequence.
Super creative.
So dynamic. Now look, we've seen things like Iron Fist where they do the fight scenes and it's like they can be fun, but like they to quote Rob, they lack verisimilitude. This doesn't feel like this doesn't feel like a real fight. It feels the ballerina fight that they showed us, where first she takes out one guy who comes into a store to kill her, and then she thinks she's turning to like the clerk for help, and the clerk is also a hired assassin there to kill her. Anyway, so like the dynamic of it is so fluid. So it's like awesome choreography, but they don't sacrifice it feeling visceral for just the flamboyant choreography. It's super violent, and there's bone breaking and some holy shit moments, and this awesome scene with plates, dinner plates. I'll just leave it at that. Awesome scene with dinner plates. And it looks fabulous. And look, if that's what we're going to get, that level of action. And then when it was all done, the head of the studio comes out and says, by the way, that's not even half the scene. And we're like, what? And like it keeps going. But yeah, I loved what I saw. What did you think about it?
I loved it too. I mean, I was already excited for this movie. Now I'm just even more excited. It felt real, despite the fact that it's so intricate and there's all these different things happening. And like you said, it's just very, very visceral. And I was digging it. And then the trailer, and then after they showed that extended scene, then they showed us that trailer, and I was like, "Yep, let's go." This movie's coming out soon, right?
Yes.
Soon.
Yeah, it's coming out this summer. I think it's June or July.
6th, I think.
June 6th sounds right.
Look.
So I mean, and they re-edited the trailer. It's basically the same new trailer that's out now that they played later on, but they edited it a little bit, because I remember the first trailer makes it look like he's there working with her. The second trailer made it look like he's working against her. This one they edited a bit so you get the story flow. So the way the story basically works is in John Wick 3, I think it is, when he goes to the ballerina, it takes place, it's the events of when John Wick goes to see, what's the actress's name? Who plays the headmistress of the ballerina? No, the headmistress of the ballerinas. Iconic, legendary actress.
Helen.
No, it's not. Guys in the live chat. If you remember the name who played the Angelica Houston. So it's the same scene from John Wick 3 when he goes to see Angelica Houston, but it's told from Ana de Armas's perspective. And so you see this moment that he's going to see Angelica Houston, but he bumps into Ana de Armas first, and they have a little exchange. And she's like, well, why didn't you get out? And he's like, I'm working on it. And so then later, Angelica Houston sends the Baba Yaga to go and bring her in. And then I'm guessing at some point they start working together again. So they kind of clarified all that. By the way, side note, they also announced that somebody just wrote into the show the other day asking they should do a John Wick movie showing him being when he was the Baba Yaga. And I said, well, I don't think you can go back and do that. But they are doing it in animated form. Woohoo. There's an animated John Wick movie coming out before John Wick 1. So back before he got out initially. So that's kind of fun. Anyway, and I want to go to you. The footage we saw, the fights, the trailer. What did you think about it?
Oh my gosh. I think I love seeing badass women. And, with Ana de Armas, you wonder, because she's so petite, if she could pull off some of the moves that were in the action sequence. And she totally killed it. She totally sold it. And they didn't over exaggerate anything to where you felt like they were trying to be too much like John Wick style of action. Like there was only one gun in the scene. She didn't need it. There was knives, plates, whatever else that,
Pots,
she was very
pans.
resourceful. And I love that just even within the sequence, they pause for a second. I think she just says, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And like just the delivery of that one line.
When she says that, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's kind of just like it gives you a glimpse into what that character's journey is going to be. Like she doesn't know what's going on. She's trying to figure out where, like her history or whatever. And I'm excited.
I like the story she told about when they were shooting in Prague and how it was like 20 degrees below
Yeah.
zero. And they had to put screws in the bottom of her shoes so she could walk around and be safe.
Oh yeah, she said the roads were literally ice.
Yeah.
And she said the crew put screws into the bottom of my shoes just so she could have traction. Like that's cool. By the way, you mentioned about the fight scene. Here's the other thing that I really, really liked about it. Sometimes when you have a female action lead and they get into fights with like larger
Oh,
men.
man.
They
Yeah.
just choreograph them like it's two guys fighting. In this, the fight itself acknowledges she is fighting somebody who is much heavier than her, that she is much physically lighter and smaller and not as physically strong. So the fight itself highlights the physical, instead of ignoring the physical differences,
Mm-hmm.
the fight highlights. So the dude who's like a 6'2" big guy, like he's not Reacher, but he's like a 6'2" big guy, but that clearly it shows where he has an advantage, because there's times he's just like picking her up like a
Slamming
rag
her.
doll and
Yeah.
slamming her around because she is smaller physically. And when she's able to get the upper hand, it's through speed and tactics
Flexibility.
and flexibility, right? So even though you had this petite little girl fighting this guy, they choreograph the fight in such a way that's like, yeah, this doesn't feel fake.
And you
Still
don't
felt real.
don't
still
always have to
felt
kick
real.
him in the balls. I'm just saying. You don't always have to do it.
And
She
she
didn't have
didn't
to
even
do
kick
it.
him in the balls. And that's usually the go-to. That's my go-to move. I don't know why she can't use it. So it made the fight feel not just exciting, but also very visceral and real. And I dug that a lot.
The main takeaway for me was when the director was talking about tone and how important tone was to the John Wick franchise
Yeah.
to this point.
Because this is his first entry, Len Wiseman's first entry into the John Wick world.
Yeah, tone and mythology is what we've really fallen in love with this world, and that's probably the main ingredient to make it feel like it belongs with the John Wick universe, but it's also unique within itself with the type of action that we're going to see. And so, yeah, I think we're all sold. It looks great.
Do you
Yeah.
want to run with the other John Wick announcements since we're on the topic?
What were the other? Like, there was the animated movie,
Yes.
and then they showed us. They didn't show us any footage, but they did bring up some stills of the art, and the art looked great.
Was it a movie that they're doing with
Donnie Yen.
Yes, we
that's
have-
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So they made now we have heard reports about this, but they've made it official. Donnie Yen is now signed on to star in and direct a Kane movie. Of course, his character from John Wick 4.
Mhm.
So I couldn't be more thrilled and I hope it's a sequel. I hope it's not a prequel. They didn't say
Yeah.
whether it's a sequel prequel.
I don't think they mentioned what. Yeah.
No,
the
so I'm going to
timeline was.
count on it being a sequel, but I mean, Donnie Yen is all you need. You can
And
say
they said-
Donnie Yen is in a cooking show and I'll watch it, so that's fine.
They said Hong Kong style, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yes,
See,
that
that
was
kind of
cool.
action too, which is a new type of action for John Wick, which is cool.
Yeah, he specifically made sure they called out a Hong Kong actioner.
Yes.
And it's like, and he's playing Kane again. And again, nothing to show. They just announced they haven't started shooting yet, but that's very exciting.
And then John Wick 5.
Oh, yeah. Then they just confirmed. Now, we talked on the John Campea Show a week or two ago that the Lionsgate head had confirmed we're actively developing John Wick 5. It's a green light. And Chad Stahelski was in, but there wasn't an official word about Keanu Reeves returning. We said we just assume he is. Today they made that official.
Yeah.
That Chad and Keanu Reeves fully signed on, and they brought up the title John Wick 5. So that's officially coming, which I am also very, very excited about, because I never believed for a second at the end of John Wick 4 that he was actually dead. There's no way he was actually dead the way they did it. If you don't see them die, they're not dead. So that was all the John Wick stuff that I thought was just great. All right. What else did they cover?
Okay, so the next movie was The Long Walk. It's a Stephen King story, and Mark Hamill's in it. That's what I've got.
I knew this movie existed. I knew the rough idea of it, but it's one of those things where you heard about it and go, and you kind of file it away. So the movie stars, I forget the name of the actor,
Yeah, I'm bringing it up.
but he's from Alien. It's the guy who played the android in Alien Romulus. The one that we all walked out saying, that dude stole the show. He's the star of it. And Mark Hamill is the villain.
David Johnson, I think
Is that his name?
Yeah.
David Johnson. So Mark Hamill's the villain. So Mark Hamill comes out and David Johnson comes out, and the director, it's Lawrence, right? The Hunger Games director. He
Yes.
directed it, right? So what's his name again?
Francis Lawrence.
Francis Lawrence. He's directing it. So the director, Mark Hamill, the lead guy, they all come out, and then they play us some footage. And I thought I kind of knew what the movie was about. It's like what do they describe it? It's Hunger Games crossed with Stand By Me, crossed with Cujo, or whatever else they said. Basic premise is this. these 40 guys,
Teenage boys.
surrounded by a couple of military trucks and Mark Hamill on one of those trucks. They have to walk. And they always have to stay, so a little bit of speed in there. They have to stay above 3 miles an hour, which is not a difficult walk. But here's the thing. You have to keep walking. There's no finish line. If you fall behind under 3 miles per hour, they give you 1 warning, 2 warnings, 3 warnings, whether if you fall down, whatever. And after the 3rd warning, if you're not back up and walking within up to 3 miles an hour, what did they say? They exit you?
Yes.
They something like that. They exit. They shoot you in the head. And so, because at first the trailer's like, oh, they're just playing in this game, walking, and then the first guy has some trouble and they shoot him in the head, and everybody in the audience is like, what is happening? And then that's the whole movie. They just gotta walk and not stop walking. And then there's the thing that just is gonna haunt my nightmares.
I knew.
Haunt my nightmares.
The foot.
The foot. They show, you could tell this is now much, much later. You see this one guy walking with one foot go down and the next foot goes down, but his foot is like this. Like if it's a proper foot's like this, it's completely bent over to the side, broken, and the bone is stepping down on the ground with his other foot. But if he stops walking, he dies. And I was just, again, this is one of those movies that I came into really not with a lot of familiarity with it, kind of not even on the radar. It's called, what is it, The Long Mile?
The Long
Walk. Guys, The Long Walk. This movie's going to be great. I can't wait to see this. Anyway, what did you think about it?
It was really great to see Mark Hamill. I didn't realize this was his first CinemaCon, which
He was so cool about it.
Yeah, it was just like, hey, I'm here, and
I said, but they said, this is your first CinemaCon. Well, yes, but to be clear, I've never been invited.
yeah,
You can't just show up.
Yeah, you can't just show up at CinemaCon.
I'm excited to see him in this type of role because, typically everyone knows him as Luke. So he even said like it was fun to play an antagonist in this movie. I just want to know, it's a contest, but what are they going to win? And is it even worth it?
Well, remember, because the main character, one of the first lines is, I'm just thinking about what I'm going to do with all that money.
Okay, so there's money.
There's a big prize.
Okay.
And they're in a good mood, so they don't know yet that they're gonna die.
Yeah,
I think.
I think you're right. There's no way those guys think, oh, if I lose, I die. They're all happy. They all seem to be in a good mood.
It
And then the reality sets it.
And that quick, the way that they show the first guy die really early in the trailer, the camera's on him. They're giving him the warnings. The guy with the big machine gun walks up, shoots him, and the camera's panning back, and then it just goes to the face of the friend, and he is terrified. And everyone in the audience was like, because I went in cold. I didn't know anything about the movie, and that was a shock.
You know what was reminiscent of? Squid Game, when they first play Red Light, Green Light. That moment where everybody thinks they're just participating in the game, but they're going to win money. And then that moment that they realize, oh, if you didn't win, you die. So there's a little bit of that. But Hamill comes across as, what was the name of the sheriff or the main guard in Cool Hand Luke with Paul Newman? What we have here is a failure to communicate. Like that. So Mark Hamill's giving off those kinds of vibes. Anyway, again, not a movie that was on my radar. Guys, in all the different things we talked about, things we're looking forward to at CinemaCon, The Long Walk was never on my list. It's on my list now. This one, I cannot wait to see. This is going to be great.
September 12th.
September 12th. Mark it down, guys. The Long Walk. I don't know. By the way, I don't know. Sometimes they show new trailers at CinemaCon and then they put them online. Sometimes they don't. I have no idea if they put the Long Walk footage online or not. Go and take a look, see if you find it. All right. What do we have next?
Ooh. All right. So the next movie we
Hold
have
your mic a little bit closer.
is the Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping. It's
a brand new book.
Hand this to you.
I'll take this.
Obviously, no trailer yet. It's still a year out.
So Francis Lawrence, who is directing The Long Walk, is also going back to the world of the Hunger Games to do Sunrise on the Reaping. It is not a sequel to Chutes and Ladders. What was it called? Songbirds and Snakes?
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not a sequel to that.
I can't remember what the name of that Hunger Games.
The Ballad of Songbirds
and Snakes.
Yeah, the Ballad of Songbirds. So it is not a sequel to that. It's something else. It's based on the new Suzanne Collins novel, and pretty cool. As we were walking out of the presentation today, they gave everybody a copy of the book. So I'm going to read this.
I'm going to read it.
So it says it's 24 years before the events of the original Hunger Games.
Okay, so it's many years after the events of Chutes and Ladders, but many years before.
And it's following Hey Mitch, which is super exciting.
So it's following Hamish. So they didn't, I mean, they just showed us a new title.
Yeah.
That like the logo, they showed logo animation. Obviously, they haven't started shooting the movie yet. So there was nothing to see. But Sunrise on the Reaping, Hunger Games, Sunrise on the Reaping is coming. And I don't know anything about it because I haven't read the book yet, just that it's happening. And Francis Lawrence is directing it again.
November 20th.
Every time I was going to say, you mean 2026?
2026.
Every time I want to say Francis Lawrence, I keep on wanting to say Lawrence Fishburne. I don't know why. I almost say Lawrence Fishburne every time. Okay, so that was that.
Hey, they revealed a logo, which is more than Resident Evil did
Yeah.
yesterday.
They also had the
Just saying.
cringiest moment of the whole ceremony, in my opinion. When they displayed the logo, there was a voiceover of someone saying, "This time it's different."
Oh yeah,
I was like,
yeah, that was not so good. But that's fine. We'll give them a pass.
They
on that.
did a great job.
Okay, so this one's weird because then they go into this part where they just give really quick updates. Do we want to go in any of those?
We'll just list them off quick.
Okay, so Michael Jackson movie.
Okay, so here, yes. Somebody asked me early in the day when we put up this live stream. We posted the event that we just started, but they see the thumbnail. It's like, John, how can you not put Michael? I'm like, I don't think they're going to be talking about Mike. I think they're still working out that legal issue. And sure enough, because last year at CinemaCon, they showed us this bunch of footage for Michael and it looks amazing. This year, they just gave us a quick update on Michael. We're working through things. We're going to be back up and running soon. Look for some announcements in the next few weeks. Now, for those of you who might have missed it, the studio got the permission of the estate of Michael Jackson to do this movie. Everything's good. The problem was, and I'm just giving you the cliff notes here. Problem is that a lot of the movie focuses around one of the lawsuits, including a kid and his family involved in one of the lawsuits. And what the Michael Jackson estate failed to mention to Lionsgate was that in the settlement with that family, there's a provision in that settlement that says, in anything you do later in the future, never mention our kid, never mention our family.
Oof.
And like, they never told that. The Michael Jackson estate never told that to Lionsgate. So Lionsgate makes this movie, and then all of a sudden, oopsie. And apparently that was a big storyline in the movie.
Oh no.
So now they have to figure out, they either got to buy this family or they got to rework a whole ton of the movie. So all the Lionsgate guy said was, we'll have updates soon. We're working on it. So that's so I knew they weren't going to have anything
It's
Michael
tough for
related
him.
here.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the studio because
Yeah.
normally studios screw things up.
Yes.
But this time was not the studio's fault. This was the estate of Michael Jackson. Anyway.
All right.
All right.
Let's see. American Psycho, just an update.
Okay. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Giardino, or I forget the name of the director. Okay. I did not know they were doing an American Psycho remake.
Mm-hmm.
I am notorious. I'm in the minority on this. That's okay. I am very pro remakes because if you get a good movie, we have a new good movie. If you have a bad movie, oh, well, we've got the original still. Right? There's no problem with remakes. There's no legitimate argument against remakes. I don't know why they're remaking American Psycho. It's not that old of a film.
But it's a classic.
It's a classic, but it's Christian Bale, who is still very prominent and relevant. Look, again, I'm not against them doing a remake of American Psycho. I'm just saying why. A lot of remakes say, hey, it's been a generation since that movie, or technology has come so far, it could really benefit from a retelling, or society has changed where now that movie's going to have a different. I'm not quite sure why they're doing an American Psycho remake, but again, they had nothing to show us, so maybe it'll be great. But and who do you get to replace Christian Bale?
Yeah, that's the question.
That's gonna be tough.
That's the question.
Glenn Powell?
The thing is, American Psycho has a way better reputation than Friday the 13th, than Halloween, even amongst a lot of film fans. And so I feel like it's one that is going to drive a lot of engagement, and there's definitely an audience for it. There's a whole new generation of people that have heard of it because Christian Bale is very prominent and popular now, but that have probably never even seen the original.
Maybe. All right. So there was that. What else is next?
Another mention. I Can Only Imagine sequel.
Yeah, good for them.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I thought I was
Again, it
writing
nothing-
words in my head, and then I realized it was a movie title that
Yeah.
I wrote down. Okay. So then we get to an update on Good Fortune.
Oh, one of the highlights of last year's CinemaCon. Good Fortune is a movie written and directed by
Aziz Ansari.
Aziz Ansari. It's got Keanu Reeves, Seth Rogen,
Sandra Oh.
Sandra Oh as like a manager angel or something
Yeah.
like that. And we were just, it was one of the things that almost won CinemaCon alone. It looked so good. And I totally forgot about the movie.
I know.
So they gave an update to it and they showed us a brand new trailer for it. Keanu Reeves plays an angel whose main job is to save people who are driving and texting at the same time. That's his job as an angel, be the guardian angel of people who are texting while they're driving and try to save them from themselves. And he decides, so Aziz plays a guy who's having a really hard time meeting ends meet. He's an Uber delivery driver, all that kind of stuff. Seth Rogen is this guy he delivers to sometime who's just super rich and has all the money in the world. And Aziz is miserable in his life, and Keanu Reeves appears to him as an angel and says, I'm going to show you that if you just had his life, it doesn't solve your problems. There's a great line in it where he's talking to his manager, Angel, and she goes, why did you do that? He says, I wanted to show him that money wouldn't fix his problems. And what happened? Turns out money solved most of his problems. And so he switches places with Seth Rogen, and Seth Rogen and Aziz are the only two who are aware that this happened. They showed us a new trailer for it. It looks just as good as I remember it. A bunch of new stuff too. Now, you weren't at CinemaCon last year, so you didn't see that stuff. This was your first exposure to this movie.
I did not know this movie existed. I gotta say, that one line that you just described, I laughed very hard. The rest of the trailer, I felt like it wasn't a good trailer. I do want to see this movie, and I actually think it is going to be a good movie, but to me, that wasn't a very good trailer.
You know what the thing is? I'm watching this trailer with the context that I saw all the footage they showed us last year.
Right.
So I'm getting a lot of it. So that's probably why the trailer worked for me. I bet if I just saw the trailer cold, well, that line, turns out money solved most of his problems, that would still be hilarious. But I mean, I wonder if I just saw the trailer cold like you did, if maybe I would have thought what's going on, but I had the advantage of seeing that. But so you did see both. You saw last year's footage and the trailer. What did you think?
Again, I loved last year, but it didn't feel like it was any different than what they presented last year, if anything. So to John's point, I forgot about this movie. I thought maybe it came out and we just didn't see it. So to be refreshed on it was interesting. I hope there's no weird underlying struggle with getting this movie into theaters. Like, I don't know any of the backstory
they
of
do.
why
Well,
it's
they have a
taking so
release
long.
date. They have a release date.
Okay.
I don't think last year they had a release date. They just said we're it's coming soon. And this year they did give a release date, although I can't remember what it was.
Do we know what this
Yeah,
movie is
I think-
rated? Because it feels like it's going to be rated R.
It feels like a rated R film, but I don't think there was anything particularly R rated in the trailer. So it might be PG-13, but you're right. It feels like it would be an R rated movie. We'll find out.
It says October 17th is the release date.
All right. So right around Halloween time.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Okay. I'm excited for this one. The next
yes.
movie is called Power Ballad with Paul Rudd and Nick Jonas, and we got an extended first look.
Okay. So Anne is a very big Jonas Brothers girl. You've been to what, 7 of their concerts?
Yes, there'll be 8 this year.
And is 7 and counting? Yeah. I've even got video footage on my social media of her literally at the front stage and dancing around, and Joe Jonas looking at her, and Anne's like, yeah, like whatever. So anyway, so Nick Jonas, Paul Rudd. It feels, it's got the DNA of that Beatles-ish movie Yesterday. It's
Mhm.
got a little bit of that feel. So the basic premise of the movie is Paul Rudd is an aging guy who's like he's a family guy. Looks like he has a fairly successful life, but his real passion, his side gig, is him and his buddies have been playing in this band for like 25 years together.
Yeah.
With like little to no success.
Little
But they go and
gigs,
play
weddings,
gigs,
yeah.
weddings, stuff like that. And then one night he meets Nick Jonas, who plays a very Nick Jonas type. He plays a big pop star who's in a boy band.
Who's kind of a little bit past his prime.
A little bit
feels
past his
like,
prime to be in a boy band,
Yeah.
right? So they strike up a quick friendship and relationship, and they actually write a song, and Paul plays a song for him that he had written. And then I guess it's fast forward a year or two, and Nick Jonas is struggling in his career, and he just remembers the song and plays it, and somebody says, that song's great. So he records it and passes it off as his own. And now Paul Rudd and his buddies are on a quest to get justice for the fact that he stole his song. It's not a spoof comedy. I know the way I described it just kind of sounds like a bit like a spoof comedy. It looks like it has some heart.
Dramedy, yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a dramedy. And, listen, if you've never seen the MMA show called Kingdom with Frank Grillo and Nick Jonas, if you have any questions wondering if Nick Jonas can actually act, go see that show.
He's in Jumanji too.
Oh yeah, he's in Jumanji, but he couldn't really show off anything in Jumanji.
Yeah.
That was kind of a very thin character. But his character in Kingdom was so great, and he played it beautifully. And I think that, again, wasn't my favorite one of the con so far, but it looks like a nice little movie. You are a little bit more excited for it.
Well, I'm a little biased, so you probably should just go to Cody, because I'm just going to say this movie is going to be excellent and amazing because Nick Jonas is in it. So
This is another one that I knew nothing about, and I felt like, because that was a trailer that they're gonna release,
Yeah,
eventually, right?
It might have
It-
been a
it
little too
felt
long to
longer.
be a
It felt
trailer.
longer.
Yeah.
extended
So,
first look.
Yeah.
Okay, extended first look, because I felt like they kind of showed us pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only question I had was, I wonder how they're going to decide to end this. And it made me interested enough to want to see how it ends, but it bothers me when I feel like we know all the beats of the
Yeah.
story already.
Now,
But it does look good.
what I find sometimes is when I watch a trailer that feels like that, half the time it turns out that all the stuff I thought was giving away the whole movie actually all happens in the first half of the movie. So I don't know if that's going to be the case here. The best line in the trailer was, though, Paul Rudd and his bandmates are standing around. You can tell they've been friends since high school, whatever. And something gets brought up. I can't remember what it was. And Paul Rudd goes, guys, are we high or just old? It was like,
That was great.
okay, by the way, side note. So while Anne was getting ready to yesterday morning in our hotel room, the TV's on and there's like a Friends marathon playing. And Paul Rudd, for those you remember, had a recurring character on Friends. And he comes in. I'm like, this show was 23 years ago. And Paul Rudd looks exactly the same.
It's not better today.
I mean, yeah, I'm like, what kind of unicorn blood is this guy showering in? I have no idea, but it was kind of funny when he was like, "Are we high or just old?" And I thought that was pretty fun. So, Power Ballad, again, not one that's been high on my radar. I don't think it's the best thing I saw here, but it definitely looks like it has promise. So, and Paul Rudd has never steered. I just went to go see Death of a Unicorn. I liked him in that too. So, Paul Rudd has never steered me wrong. That's Power Ballad. All right.
Next is Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
Also known as Now You See Me 3.
And I think they made mention of there's another movie also.
Oh, yeah, that they're going to do a fourth.
Yeah.
And this one, Zombieland director. Why am I freezing on his name? Anyway, this from the director of Zombieland. It comes Now You See Me 3. So I don't like the How You See Me movies. I thought the first one was okay. The second one just got ridiculous. You know where they really lost me? Besides, they're not particularly strong scripts and everything, but where they really lose me is, at least in the first movie, they try to do all the heist stuff and everything they're doing is like modern magic techniques, right? By the time you got into the second movie, it's like, no, there's no explanation for what you're doing. Like what you are doing is literally just sorcery and witchcraft. And since that's not what it's supposed to be, it's like, it just lost all tangibility to me. And so I didn't love those movies at all. So I've not been looking forward to Now You See Me 3 or Now You See Me, Now You Don't. But now having watched the advanced look, I'm really not looking forward to it. It looks bad. It looks bad. I'm sorry. It does not look great. And when the guy said, and we're also working on a fourth movie, I'm like, why? Like, why? I don't get it. And what did you think about the? First of all, you and I have never talked about the first couple. I don't know what you think about the first movies. What did you think about them, and what did you think about this?
I love magic. I mean, growing up as a kid in Las Vegas, I had all the magic sets, and I went to David Copperfield, and so I was excited for the first movie. I liked it. I, like you, didn't really like the second movie. It got too fantastical, too unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I got a serious vibe of how unrealistic some of the magic tricks are going to be just in this movie, because there's one part where Jesse Eisenberg's character is at odds with some of the former members of the group.
The Horsemen.
Correct. And now he has new young blood in there, and they're in the middle of performing some form of heist, and a sheet goes up in the air, and then it drops down, and there it is, Dave Franco pops back up. And in order to even accomplish that task, you would have to know who you're working with. And it's like so now they're pulling tricks on themselves.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this feels like Fast and the Furious with magic, because now they're not just globetrotting, but there were some shots of some car race scenes, and it's really out there. But I think that there are a lot of people that really do love this franchise, just like there are people that even love the not so great Fast and the Furious movies for all the same reasons. So
yeah, I will give it this. Like, I like Jesse Eisenberg. And I like Dave Franco, and I love Woody Harrelson, and I like Isla Fisher, and they're bringing some new blood in, and one of them is Justice Smith. I think that kid's great.
Yeah, me too.
Ariana Greenblatt, who was just in that horrible, what was the video game?
Borderlands,
just in that horrible, but she's going to be a star. Mark my words right now. This Ariana Greenblatt girl, she's going to be a star. I like all these people. I like the director, but Morgan Freeman was on screen for a minute, and that's the highlight. But I don't know. Hopefully the movie can win me over. I'm doubting it, though. Do you have any thoughts on it?
No thoughts.
I think if you liked the second movie, just based on what we saw, you're probably going to like this one.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think that's very, very good. If you like the second one, this looks like you'll like this one.
And if you were more like me and John, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not interested either.
All right. What was next?
All right. The next movie is The Housemaid. They brought out Paul Feig, Sydney Sweeney, Amanda Siegfried, and I don't know the gentleman's last name.
The dude who's starring in the new movie Drop.
Yeah.
And he's in 1923. He plays Harrison Ford's son.
He's everywhere right now.
That's who that guy is.
Yeah,
He's everywhere right now.
That guy's hot right now, because that movie Drop, I am so excited about that movie Drop.
He is hot.
I am
Brandon Sklenar.
Yeah. So, I mean, the big thing, of course, as soon as they mentioned Sydney Sweeney was coming out on stage. So she comes out in this dynamite outfit.
All of them.
Let's just say form-fitting. Very form-fitting outfit. And and she was funny, and apparently she's a massive fan
of the book.
Her co-star.
Amanda,
yes.
Yeah.
She's a massive fan of hers. So, and Paul Feig, I think, is great. I mean, I love most of this guy's movies. Not all of them, but I love most of his movies, especially, obviously, Bridesmaids and A Simple Favor. God, I love A Simple Favor. That movie's so good. But this is not a comedy. This is a thriller. And it's not exactly my cup of tea, I'm going to be honest, but it does look good. And the trailer was pretty freaky. I mean, you turned to me.
Yes. My wife is a huge murder mystery book reader. She's just like the actresses in this movie. Like, it was a TikTok book. It got really popular. Like, she's into this stuff. So she's the target demo. I'm not. But I watched this and I turned to you and I was like, Allie's going to love this. And I thought it looked awesome. I thought for that genre, and that's a very specific kind of genre that has its fans, it looks good. I want to go see it.
So, like, when the trailer started, I was like, so Sydney Sweeney plays this girl that goes to become, she's interviewing for and becomes the live-in housemaid for this couple, which is 1923 guy and Amanda. And my thought was, she's going to find out she just went into the wrong house because these people are crazy. But by the end of the trailer, I'm thinking, I think she might be the
Who
villain.
is crazy?
It's hard as
Yeah.
hell.
It's yeah,
which is great.
yeah, and I haven't read the book. It's based on a book series that's apparently very popular with a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, it's like there's this great scene where she's saying goodbye to Amanda. Amanda's standing at the doorway and waving goodbye, and she's in the car waving by to her in the mirror. And as soon as she's a little bit out of range, her face just turns back, like she's driving. She turns back the camera, takes the glasses off, and has this like awful look on her. I'm like, I think she might be the same. Maybe Amanda's the heroine of the movie. I mean, I don't know, but it's not my movie per se, but it does look good. So what did you think about it?
Yeah, I just immediately wanted to go pick up the book just because, Sydney Sweeney had mentioned she read the books, she devoured the books, and
She said she read all three
immediately
in a
wanted
week.
to make this movie. And yeah, it's one of those things where the trailer gives just enough to where you start asking a lot more questions, but you also know the story thread a little bit and you're trying to guess what it could be. And that is what would bring me to the theater to watch, is because I
Yeah.
want to know if my theories are correct or not.
100%. I completely agree.
Yeah, so looks pretty good. Again, called The Housemaid,
Yes.
and yeah, check it out. I'm gonna guess they probably dropped the trailer online, or again, was that like more like 5 minutes? Was that not really a trailer?
It felt like it was, just guess, more than 3 minutes long.
Yeah. All right, what did we have up next?
All right. So the next, just again, mentions. So I don't know what's worth talking about here. The Stranger,
The
Greenland
Strangers,
2,
the next
and
Strangers, yeah.
Strangers and Mutiny. Are those three?
Yeah,
kind of-
Greenland. So he just mentioned a couple things that Greenland 2, of course, that's the Gerard Butler asteroid hitting the Earth kind of thing. How you do a sequel to that, I'm not sure, but they're doing it, and I'll watch it. Hell, I'll watch anything he does. So those are just some quick mentions. All right.
Shadow Force was mentioned.
Oh yeah, that's the Carrie. It's Carrie Russell. I think it's Carrie Russell. Yeah, where it's again another one of those movies where what mom and dad are super spies.
Oh,
We've seen like 20 of those movies in the last little while. I just can't get excited about that.
all right.
But they didn't show anything new because they just said, we just put out a new trailer for this a few weeks ago. So that was that.
The last movie that was talked about was Hurry Up Tomorrow.
Okay, so this is the one that was funny because they mentioned Jenna Ortega is in it, who I also just watched in Death of a Unicorn, and Abel. They just kept referring to Abel. And I turned to Anne and was like, I bet you 75% of the people in this auditorium don't know that Abel is The Weeknd. They just kept referring to Abel. Oh, working with Abel is such a somebody's got to say Abel, or as you may know him, The Weeknd.
Yes.
So you mention it. Now look, I love The Weeknd's music, and he's a good Canadian kid, so that gives him 50 points right there. I think he's great. But it's been hard for me to get excited about this because of his show Icon. Not Icon, the one he did with
Jeez, we
Rose
just talked
Depp.
about it yesterday.
Yes, we did. We just talked about yesterday. Was it called Icon?
That's an HBO show, right?
Yeah. No, Idol, not Icon.
Idol.
Idol.
Yes, the Idol.
And that show sucked ass. That was horrible. So it's hard for me to, while I love The Weeknd, it's hard for me to get excited about this movie. So they come out and they play this first look footage of it. And it didn't move the needle for me. It kind of felt like The Idol. And not that it looks like the story's the same. It kind of had the same tone and feel. And I'm like, okay, so The Weeknd plays a rock star who's going crazy and he gets in a relationship with maybe a little bit of a disturbed girl in Jenna Ortega or something. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think the trailer was great. Now, something else happened after that. We'll get to that in a second. What did you think about the trailer?
I thought the trailer was great. I did not know
good.
anything about this movie. And similar to what you just said and about the previous movie was I had more questions that I wanted answers to when it ended. And that, to me, it's like that will compel me to go and see this movie. I feel like they didn't show us too much, but some of the shots were like really disturbing and creepy and quick and fast. And I liked it. I really liked it.
What do you think about it?
Well, I will say this. The fact that Lionsgate decided to end with this movie is interesting. Well, obviously we'll talk
There's
about
a big
why.
reason why, yeah.
But, to me, usually when a studio ends with a movie, they believe in it to an extent. And I think the trailer itself was okay for me. I think what they were trying to sell us on was the experience of what the film was going to bring, that it's kind of beyond the sensory of just watching a film. You're hearing it, you're seeing, the different colors or whatever that they're going to use, and maybe some other types of experiences they'll try to introduce into it. So the entire pitch got me, but the trailer alone was it was okay.
But it was interesting. Anne actually pointed this out as we were leaving the auditorium. It was interesting that they had the director come out and Jenna Ortega come out. It's like, this is the Weeknd's movie. Like, why wouldn't he be here? Oh, well, whatever. Well, as they were showing the new trailer on the screen, the room was dark. In the dark, they brought a band out on stage, and we got a surprise impromptu mini Weeknd concert. As Weeknd came out and did a couple of songs, and I'll tell you what, he blew the place up. He was great.
I don't think I've been to a CinemaCon where there's been a few. Let's say Oprah Winfrey coming out, that's like a standing ovation. But we haven't seen this level of energy at a morning panel for CinemaCon where everyone's up and like waving their hands and dancing. Yeah, that was really cool.
I can think of some other musical moments at CinemaCons, like when what's her name? She was in Dreamgirls, Jennifer Hudson. When Jennifer Hudson came out and sang the theme to Cats. This is before we knew Cats was terrible.
Yeah.
This is before that, right? But she came out and sang, what was the song, Midnight? Is that Moonlight or what? Like, she was awesome, right? But you got to understand, as great as CinemaCon can be, the audience, these are all movie theater owners and managers. Like, it's not a hype fan crowd, right? So the energy in the room is not often high. And even when Jennifer Hudson came out and was awesome, really good round of applause, whatever. But the Weeknd, everybody was on their feet, and it was great. It was a great little show we got.
It was a total energy shift from when the Cinema United guy came out.
Yes.
Because he came out to that song and tried to get everybody to clap. What song was that? Do you remember? He was
I
doing
feel good.
Yeah, it was that
trying
song.
to get everybody claps like, dude, this is not your forte. Stop it.
And no one got into it. No one was clapping. So the energy early morning, but when the Weeknd came out and forget, I believe the first song he played is the song from the film.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And that was awesome.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he ended with his big song,
Blinding Lights.
I'm blinded by the
And it was
light.
cool too because they had big LED white panels that they brought up that flashed colors, and they even gave an epilepsy warning at the beginning because it was pretty.
It was intense.
Very
it was
visceral.
intense.
Yes.
Yeah. It was really, really intense. But the show was great. I mean, I was not expecting. Anne said, I did not have the Weeknd coming out to give us a concert on my bingo card. And
100%.
out he came and he did it, and they kind of ended the presentation. Listen, even though there were a number of films that I'm kind of lukewarm on, whatever, the presentation compared to Sony's presentation was great. Because you know what they actually did? They talked about their movies. They actually brought the filmmakers and the actors out to talk about it. They gave us looks at almost all the films that they were talking about. It was a really solid presentation. And with some great highlights. Again, the Aziz movie looks great. The what was the other one they were just talking about? The Long Walk. God, I cannot wait for that. The John Wick stuff, the Ballerina was really solid. And there's some really interesting looking films. So top notch, like full marks. Good score to Lionsgate. Anything else to stand out to you guys about the presentation at all?
Well, Cody, do you want to go first?
Well,
This is the first time seeing
once
one?
again, as the first time CinemaCon goer, I wasn't blown away last night. I enjoyed myself, but I wasn't. But this was a major step up. All the speakers, they brought it. It was fun. It was real. And
Yeah,
it was fun.
much better presentation than Sony gave. Got to say, like Sony next year. First of all, Tom Rothman. You may have great relationships with a lot of these people. You are not a presenter. Next year, send somebody else from your staff up to do the presentation, or maybe you come out and bring out other staff people to do the presentation. Anyway, so that was just kind of my thought. Anyway, so good job tonight, Lionsgate. But I will say this. You probably heard Ray joke about it a little bit yesterday, but it does bear bringing up. Lionsgate has not had a good year. Almost all of their films in this past year just flopped horribly. Other than Ballerina, I don't think Hurry Up Tomorrow is going to make a lot of money. I certainly don't think Now You See Me is going to make a lot of money. As good as it looks, I don't think The Housekeeper is going to make a ton of money.
Housemaid.
The Housemaid.
How much money did A Simple Favor make? Because that did pretty well, right?
It did pretty well, especially it was a very low budget film.
Right.
And that's one of the things that Lionsgate has going for is a lot of their films are lower budget.
Yeah.
I don't know if The Long Walk is going to make a lot of money, but I know I'm going to be there. So I hope they have a better year this year than they did last year, but we'll kind of see. All right. Guys, that down, we're now going to take a few minutes. I've had the super chats open, but I've turned them off already because We have a number of things we need to do. And then we've got a 4 o'clock Warner Brothers panel. Guys, make sure you join us tonight. We got our Warner Brothers discussion tonight. I think what time we said we're going to do it at 8 o'clock tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, tonight at 8 p.m. West Coast time. We're going to be doing
big
our
one.
Warner Brothers stream. So make sure you come back and join us for that. But we're going to take some questions that you guys have sent in before I turned off the super chat. So let's jump over here. We're going to start with Daniel Vasquez, who writes, let me know. First of all, let me see if I can fix this a little bit. There we go. Let me know if they show more footage of Good Fortune. They did, as we already talked about. John Wick is an angel. Also, let me know if both presentations pulled an April Fool's joke on you guys. So yeah, last night we talked about the fact that today is obviously April Fool's Day. And a lot of people wrote in saying, oh, they're going to give a bunch of fake news tomorrow and they're going to be able to believe any of the news tomorrow. And I said last night, guys, this is their professional industry trade organization annual presentation. They're not going to do any April Fool's stuff. And sure enough, at least this morning, there is no April Fool's stuff. Who does April Fool's anymore? Anyway, so no, everything was all legit. There was no April Fool's stuff. Everything looked pretty good, unless there's no such thing as John Wick 5. But with April Fool's joke, you're supposed to then tell people it's a joke, and there was no joke. All right, next up, we go to James Wheeler, who writes, hello, everyone. Rob is not here right now. Someone the other night asked a question, have you ever seen the Hitchcock movie, I Confess, with Montgomery Clift? Again, Rob is not here.
Send it for the next one.
Guys, I always warn you, I really strongly suggest, I mean, it's not a rule, but I strongly suggest not writing in questions specifically for one of my frequent guests, because I can never guarantee that one of my guests, and Rob is obviously one of my more mainstay ones, but I can never guarantee on any show that they will be here. So unfortunately, I remember that question, James, but Rob is again not here to answer that. My apologies. And James sent in a $20 super chat to be supportive. So I'm sorry that Rob's not here.
We'll try to remember to ask him.
But thank you for sending in the question nonetheless. All right. Next up, we've got Matan, who writes, oh, I'm going to lose it. There he is. Matan writes, do you think that one day A24 and Neon will come to CinemaCon to do presentations? Well, as it turns out, Neon did do a presentation today, and they did a really good job. It was only short, probably about 15 minutes in total.
It was great.
It's not even mentioned on here, actually.
No, it wasn't even listed
strange.
in the program. They just came out, they pitched their 2 movies, they did a really good job of it, and I've been wondering the same thing. I would really like to see A24 here. Now, A24 doesn't do their own distributing, I don't think. And mostly on the studio side is the distributors, but still, it would be really nice to see A24 come here and do CinemaCon 1 week, Matan. All right, next up, Amin writes, I really enjoy the John Wick, but is the franchise getting too oversaturated? Not at all. All these spin-offs and sequels and shows are starting to feel too much. I disagree, because it's been now a couple of years since John Wick. We did get The Continental, but that was on TV and not a lot of people watched it. Now, a few years later, we're getting the Ballerina. In a couple of years, we'll get John Wick 5. I mean, I've never understood that mentality because, like, to me, let's say, what's a show a lot of people, I don't know, Succession. You just watched 8. You went to watch Succession 8 times this year, if there were 8 episodes. Maybe there was 10, I don't know. John, TV shows are different movies. Yeah, but the principle is there. You went back every single week to watch the same thing again. So why is it bad if every couple of years we get a new 2-hour movie? Like, you literally watch a 1-hour story 8 to 12 times a year for a show you like, but every couple of years, a 2-hour thing? So I don't know. I don't feel like it's getting, now it could get to that point. It could, but I don't think they're there yet. I don't think they're anywhere close to there yet. Anyway.
I don't think any of their movies have fallen short so far.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like the MCU where there's like 4 pieces of content coming out every year. Like 2 TV shows and 2 movies all in the John Wick universe in the same year. I think they're pacing it out fine. But that's, who knows? I could change my mind, but right now I think they're okay with where they're at. All right. Cutter Hale writes, sup, excited if probably, oh, you probably mean 4. Okay, excited 4. Now You See Me 3. I'm glad one of us is. Hopefully In the Gray comes out this year because I love very Rich, man, guys, check your spelling. I love every Richie and Henry Cavill. Yeah, this is a movie that in the grade they presented it to us last year. Henry Cavill, Jake Gyllenhaal,
Mm-hmm.
and the girl from Ambulance. I'm forgetting the name of the actress who was from Ambulance. Anyway, she was also in Morbius, but we'll try to forget about that one too. They didn't talk about it at all. You know what? I think I heard that movie is now going to go direct to streaming. I think. I might be wrong about that, but I think Isla Gonzalez, Elza Gonzalez, if we don't know how to pronounce her first name, but yes, I think she was also the John Hamm's girlfriend in what was the name with the where he plays the getaway driver. It's John Hamm was one of the Baby Driver. That was it. I think she was John Hamm's girlfriend in Baby Driver. Anyway, so yeah, but I think, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard that movie is now going to be going direct to streaming, I think, which is too bad because I thought it looked really good. All right. Next up, we got Nexus Fuel, who writes, they've been pretty silent about this aspect of the movie, but Hurry Up Tomorrow is a loose retelling of Stephen King's Misery. Abel plays a singer who, by the way, once again is The Weeknd, who is about to give up on his stage persona, and Jenna plays an obsessed fan who doesn't want that and kidnaps him.
Oh no, the trailer did show us that.
Yeah, it gave
I
us a
got
little
that.
bit of sense. You know what? I think you're bang on. It does that did have a Misery kind of feel to it, which we don't hear enough of. But Jenna Ortega being an obsessed fan, I mean, the trailer ends with her having him tied up.
And
It looks like she's gonna set him on fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yo.
Like the whole trailer starts with her pouring gasoline in a house.
Should we be worried that Jenna Ortega was like, I'm so excited about this
I
story?
cannot wait for this.
That story? Crazy.
Yes. All right. Next up, we've got, thanks for that, Nexus. Maria Martinez writes, thank you for the CinemaCon coverage, John and team. Oh, thank you for joining us, Maria. It's good to have you here with us. We love doing this every year. Dominic Suma writes, a Beatles biopic? They already made A Bug's Life.
Dang.
Dun, dun, dun. Of course, last night, Sony announced that they were not doing one, not two, not three, but 4 Beatles movies, and they're all coming out in April of 2028. One more focused on Ringo, Paul, George, and John. Again, I'm not a Beatles guy, but I gotta tell you, man, we talked a lot about it last night. This is a real interesting thing they're doing. And it's going to be interesting to see if any other studio decides to try something like this, if this works out. All right. Next up, Josh Keegley writes, I saw that the Life of Chuck trailer was shown. I was able to check it out at the Toronto Film Festival back in September. Get excited. It's awesome.
Oh.
You know, they kept talking about that audiences who have seen it love it. I've heard some of our viewers have seen it, like Josh here, and said it's really, really good. I just wish the trailer captured that. So again, I didn't like the trailer, but it looks like it's going to be a really good movie. But anyway, I just love Tom Hiddleston. I can't wait to see him in more stuff. All right, next up, Super Nintendo Chalmers writes, as someone who had always wanted to go to San Diego Comic-Con, I think I want to go to CinemaCon more. Look, I'll tell you what. You guys know I've been to, until I missed my first one like 3 years ago, I've only missed like one CinemaCon in the last 15 years. Every year for me, it was about a countdown to go to Comic-Con in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
That changed after I started coming to CinemaCon. It's because I'm not there to look. I got Frank and Sons if I want to go look at the collectibles and all that kind of stuff. Oh, have you ever been to Frank and Sons?
No, but I've heard it's awesome.
You and Allie got to take a trip out, and we got to just take you to Frank and Sons.
Yeah.
It's like you could spend literally a whole weekend in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, just like today's Lionsgate presentation, which I don't even think is going to be the second or third best presentation of the week. But the Lionsgate presentation is just a great thing. You know, we had Sydney Sweeney come out and Jenna Ortega and
Anna de
Armas and Len Wiseman and showing all this stuff that we had never seen before, talking about like just the industry that I love so much. If you can come to CinemaCon, I would recommend it. Again, it is not inexpensive to do it. Just the ticket is $1,500.
But
Just
the
ticket.
experience is very comfortable, and I'm not just saying
Yeah.
this as a Vegas native. It's just like it doesn't feel super congested. Everything's walkable. Like it's a very pleasant experience. Sometimes at cons it can be really, really kind of gritty. Like you're packed in there tight with people, and it's difficult. So
Oh yeah,
it's nice.
absolutely.
All right. Next up, we've got Ryan Trabucco, who writes, "Hey John, just to correct something from Sunday's stream, you met with the executive team and vice chair of the San Diego Convention Center, not Comic-Con, just to be clear. I was there." That's right, you was there. So we were talking about this thing about how I have been very adamant for what this is coming from is I've been very adamant for years that I really feel like Comic-Con needs to move out of San Diego and come to Vegas. I just think Vegas can handle it better. And the team there, which is the convention center team that hosts San Diego Comic-Con, was nice enough to invite me to sit down and meet with them, and it was a great meeting. Like they addressed several of the concerns that I had. Again, I still walked out feeling like it would probably still be a good idea to move it out of San Diego, but I do love San Diego, and I love going to Comic-Con in San Diego. It's just that there are some real logistical nightmares that, but they're working very hard to try to address them. I just kind of feel like the problems are too big that even with a great team like the one they have there can actually be addressed. But anyway, it was a great meeting. They did alleviate some of the concerns I had, and it's going to be interesting to see how that whole thing unfolds as go. Thanks for correcting me on that, Ryan. All right. Next up, Trash Can writes, "Life of Chuck is magical and is a celebration of life. It beat Honora for TIFF's People's Choice.
Wow.
All winners have gone on to win Best Picture noms." Didn't they come out of different years?
Well, I was gonna say that trailer didn't give us much, but it made me feel, and I thought this looks like it could be a big time Oscar type of film. So
Well, that's why you said it kind of. You said initially, I bet it comes out later in the year because it's got an Oscar feel. It turns out it's coming out in the summer, but you're right. It does feel like it has Oscar aspirations, especially with a cast like that. And it's trying to think about what other movie that trailer felt like. I don't know. Maybe the trailer felt like the Tree of Life trailer a little bit, and I know these are going to be two totally different movies, but still, I mean, hearing all these people talking about how much they love it, it is getting me excited for it. I just wish the trailer got me excited for it. All right. Talia writes, "Will you be doing a Daredevil after show tonight?" The plan was yes. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do it though. Like we've got our live stream, we're going to be in the Warner Brothers presentation from 4 to 6:30. Then we've got our live stream at 8:30. That's probably going to take us till 10 o'clock. And then Ray and I have to edit and thumbnail a segment out the individual topics and make thumbnails and all kind of stuff. That means I'm not going to be able to watch Daredevil probably till about 11:30 tonight, which means I wouldn't even be able to do a live stream talking about the new Daredevil episode till like 1 o'clock. That's West Coast time. That's 4 a.m. on the East Coast. So my plan was to do it, but I don't think the schedule is going to be, if they had already dropped the episode, I could watch it in the next couple of hours and then do a stream later, but I just don't think I'm going to have the time to do it, unfortunately. All right. Thank you for the question though, Talia. I appreciate that. All right. And just a couple more. CJ writes, Oh, there's part one. For some reason, I missed part one. Okay, good thing it said part two because I skipped over CJ's question. CJ writes, part one, story for Cody. Context. I used to swim at Fast in Fullerton in 2011. When I was 16, Janet Evans came to visit my group for a meet and greet.
Wow.
She handed out her gold medals for us to look at. My best friend sitting next to me holding one of her medals. I continued listening to Janet, and I hear a ding of a medal hitting the floor. My friend had dropped the medal, completely ashamed, never let him forget about it.
Oh, that's brutal. Janet Evans was the Katie Ledecky of the previous era. Katie Ledecky's the girl you see winning like
Everything,
race by
yeah.
like a mile. Janet Evans held all those world records. And yeah, I do a lot of events like that where people get to wear and hold the medals. And listen, it happens. I would say let it go. It happens. And we can get our medals refurbished and fixed up if we get chinks in them and whatnot. But when I put my medal on people, I always put it on them and then I always grab it and take it off just to try to avoid that. But let it go. It's okay. It's okay.
I still remember I think it was the first time you and I met in person. You brought your medals. Because I
Yeah.
think we asked you if you would bring your medals.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think I wore one because I didn't even. It was like, when a friend wants to say, hold my baby. And you're like,
Thank you.
I don't think. I think everybody else on my team got to. Gave, but I don't think I did. I don't think I ever did because I was like, no, I don't want to.
Well, I got to say real quickly that when I came back from the Olympics after winning multiple medals, I was on this big media tour. I did the Today Show, all the big shows, and I wasn't excited about like any of it. My mom was pumped about some of it. The only thing I was excited about was to come to your guys' studio and like be able to talk movies. I'm serious. That was like one of the highlights for me.
That was
cool.
great. That was so good. I still remember that, and everybody loved it. All right. Next up, we've got. Thank you for sharing the story,
Yeah, that's
CJ.
great.
Wiley Todd writes, I read Sunrise of the Reaping. It's really good. It's the most brutal of all the Hunger Games stories and movies. Very excited for it. Just curious who's going to play a young Woody Harrelson. Now, he did say that we are deep in casting right now, but he also kind of alluded and implied that a couple of the big roles were already cast. I think they've already got their Hamish. Who could be a good younger version of Woody Harrelson? I don't know. You're the Hunger Games person in the house.
No, but just Woody himself. I don't think I've seen another actor that I've said that person reminds me of Woody Harrelson. Like I haven't seen that yet.
He's so jolly and fun. He has like a really unique energy
Yeah,
and
hold your mic a
personality.
little bit.
Sorry.
Yeah.
He's just that's a tough one. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a
But
really...
Hamish, yeah, that character itself, I'm sure they could get a very talented actor that can pull that character off.
Somebody's saying Liam Hemsworth.
Mm.
The problem is...
Wasn't he already in the movie? Wasn't he already in Hunger Games, or am I going crazy?
You're right. He was in the original Hunger Games, wasn't he?
Is that a joke? Someone's being sarcastic.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're right, by the way. I was going to say the problem with Liam Hemsworth is that he can't act.
Oh my gosh, Josh.
I feel, you know what? Of course, because the first time I met Liam Hemsworth
For the Hunger
was
Games.
for the Hunger Games. He came to the hotel and we sat down. And you know what? I feel bad saying that because he's a really nice guy.
Dude, that's how memorable that was, that he was that bad, and you forgot when this came up until this moment.
Yeah,
That's tough.
no, honestly, he was, you know what was funny? Because he was still with, what's her name? Wrecking Ball Girl.
Oh, Miley
Miley
Cyrus.
Cyrus.
And Miley Cyrus came with him. And he's like, honestly, he was like the nicest guy. I just don't think the dude can act. And I look, but I'm cheering for him. I'll tell you what, I am cheering for him. I think isn't he the new Geralt of Rivia?
Yeah, he is.
Yes.
I hope he kills it. I really do.
Well, it's a
hope
much
he
more
kills it.
stoic role, so
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Because believe me, he's like one of the guys in Hollywood that I don't think is actually a very good actor that I want to cheer for. I'm cheering for him. I'm cheering for him to win. And maybe this one will be it. Oh, somebody might be able to play good younger Hamish. Somebody in the live chat just say Joseph Quinn.
That's a good
Well,
pick.
That's good, but he's in
Joseph
everything
Quinn
right
could
now.
be in everything. Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
That's
All
a good
right.
one.
Next up, we've got Zenbon, who writes, So I Austin Butler. You probably meant is. So is Austin Butler the star of the next remake of American Psycho? I'm so very excited. Do you think Austin Butler will do great? They didn't say anything about Austin Butler
Yeah,
being
where'd
star.
that
I mean,
come
if he is, I'm sure he'll be great.
I thought they definitely would have mentioned it if he was.
Yeah, you would think they
Yeah.
would. He's such a big star. I don't know, maybe an announcement came out today. Look, okay, so if you're asking, would he be? Oh, I'm sure he would be. That Caught Stealing movie, they showed that new Austin Butler movie, Caught Stealing, that they highlighted at CinemaCon or at the Sony presentation last night, looks really good. So I'm sure he would be very good in it. I still kind of like Joseph Quinn for it, though. All right. Next up, we've got Cutter Hale, who writes, and this is the final question. Says, Anne, I'll back you up. I'm a big Jonas Brothers fan, and I'm a guy. I bought tickets for both the Dallas and Austin shows.
Yay! Did you get me one too? I'm just kidding.
So here's
maybe.
here's the funny thing. There was just an event this past weekend called Jonas Con. And Anne had mentioned, I might want to go to that. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, if you love the Jonas Brothers, go to it. She goes, I don't know about my schedule and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. So the weekend comes and she didn't go. And she was like, oh yeah, Jonas Con's this weekend. And I'm like, I'm really surprised you didn't go. She goes, I really thought about it. And thank you for saying I could go. I'm like, yeah, no problem. She goes, I just didn't know if the trip out to New York was going to be. I'm like, what? Wait,
New
what?
Jersey.
It was in New Jersey. Like, I just assumed it was in Los Angeles. I would not have okayed you going to New Jersey to go to Jonas Con. I thought it was in Los Angeles, for heaven's sake. But hey, listen, I'm going to back it up too. Was it an anniversary gift? Was it anniversary or your birthday that
What?
I went with you to
That birthday, I think.
birthday gift
I don't remember.
that I went with Anne to go see the Jonas Brothers. And we got like 4th row tickets. So we were right up there by the stage. And I'm the token husband. I'm there. I'm like, I'm just there to be whatever. Listen, I got to call it as I see it. The guys are good. They put on a good show. Their musicianship is great. They're dynamite. Because even some of my favorite concerts I've gone to, you realize live and in person, they can't sing as well as they sound in studio. Jonas Brothers, at least Nick and Joe, they can sing. The other one doesn't do any singing. He just pretends he's playing the guitar.
You're
Says,
so mean.
Mom said you had to let me in the band. He probably writes all the music for all I know. But listen, credit where it's due. I actually then went back to see a second show with Anne with them. They're really, I can't believe I'm saying it. I would highly recommend going and checking out a Jonas Brothers concert. They put on a really good show.
And Power Ballad when Nick Jonas is
And go see Power Ballad when it comes out and all that kind of stuff. All right, guys. And that will do it for our little stream here, talking about the Lionsgate and a little bit of the Neon presentation here at CinemaCon. Really well done by both Neon and Lionsgate. Some really exciting looking stuff to look forward to. Some stuff looks all right, but some of it looks great. Just a reminder, though, tonight, Warner Brothers presentation. So we're going to get, I don't know how much of it, but we're going to get some Superman.
Yes.
We're definitely going to get some Minecraft.
Sinners.
A little bit of Sinners tonight. Maybe a few surprises. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. So hopefully you guys remember that'll be tonight at 8:30 p.m. Los Angeles time is when we're going to be doing our live stream for the Warner Brothers panel. I'll look forward to you guys joining us. Hopefully Rob and Ray will be able to join us as well. But in the meantime, I want to thank Dr. Ann Campea.
Thanks, everyone.
Cody Miller.
Cheers.
And to you guys for spending some time with us. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you tonight. And until then, bye-bye.